Hey everyone, it's Cap here. This is hopefully going to be a quick little tutorial and build guide for the AX-52. I initially kind of thought that this gun was a little bit mid, but as I modded it up, I realized very quickly that it is actually has like a ton of crazy potential to do a ton of damage. It just needs a little bit of help, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. Essentially, this gun just gets exponentially stronger when you start stacking Warframe buffs on it, but by itself, it is really, really good, but I've seen other weapons do better. A quick overview for the AX-52 is essentially it is a pretty clean-cut rifle. It just shoots bullets. It's essentially a Bratton, but with better stats. However, it does have one unique trait, which is its passive. While you are hip firing, you have a 60% chance to not consume a bullet. Essentially, that makes it so that the actual magazine while hip firing of this gun is maybe around 100. It's a 60% chance to not consume a bullet, so it will be plus or minus depending if you win that coin toss. The other half of that passive is essentially going to be while you are aiming down sights. If you are hitting an enemy in the head, it's going to apply plus 100% critical chance onto your bullet. That critical chance is not multiplicative. It is not a flat additive bonus or anything like that. It is just your standard normal crit chance buff. So yeah, I'm not going to show you the mods just yet. I'm going to get right into it. Hiccup. As you can see, the uptake is kind of slow when you are using this rifle. However, it's definitely not terrible. I've seen weapons do much worse than this. As we start stacking those galvanized mods in our arcane, we are going to start doing exponentially higher damage to the point that we can actually start killing multiple of these level 200 steel pack corrupted heavy gunners with one magazine. So it definitely has really, really promising damage, and if we had a higher fire rate, it would be even better. So what are we going to do? We're going to give it a higher fire rate. I'm really quickly going to show you the build right now. We are running Viral plus Hunter Munitions with Vital Sense and Critical Delay, and we have Galvanized Aptitude, Chamber, and Scope. Galvanized Scope plus Primary Deadhead is going to go back to our unique trait where we are going to be aiming for headshots all the time. This is not a gun that you want to body shot with. Headshots all the way for this thing are definitely the way to go. You'll see I don't have an Excellus mod right now. I want to use Vigilante Supplies. I just need to put another form on this thing. That 5% crit chance to enhance the crit of the primary weapon is very minute, but it is definitely an increase that can be noticed. But yeah, it's a pretty simple build. There's nothing really important going on with it, nothing very interesting. It's just a gun that does a lot of damage. To solve our fire rate problem, we're going to be using Warframe. This build, I doubt, is like the good Warframe build, but it works. So we are really only here for two mods on this Warframe. We have Reinforced Bond and our calculated redirection. The reason we are not using link shields or anything like that for this specific build is because most of the time in endgame builds you are not going to be running a redirection on your Warframe, and there's only a really small handful of Warframes that can use link shields to obtain that 1200 max shields. But yeah, it says it's 60% fire rate, which doesn't sound like a ton, but let me tell you, when you have it versus not having it, it's definitely very easy to tell. You appreciate it quite a bit when you have your Warframe with Reinforced Bond. We also have Tenacious Bond as well, which is going to give us a 1.2 final critical multiplier. We are obtaining that via the Volcax with Point Strike. You don't need to worry about any of these other mods. I'm just filling up space because I might as well. So long as our critical chance on our Sentinel's weapon is going to be 50%, that will trigger that 1.2x final critical multiplier, which means that it goes from a 5 point something to a 6.5, which is very appreciated. So I'm going to show you what this looks like with a little bit of extra fire rate, and you're already going to be able to tell it is much, much better. It shoots eons faster. Even though we have critical delay, we are still shooting way, way, way faster, and this is starting to look like how other Incarnons perform, which is very surprising, because it is just a great rifle. So I'm just going to mow these guys down easy peasy, and then I'm going to show you what this looks like with some Warframe buffs. Another thing I will note is that heat is also a pretty good option when it comes to the AX-52, right? 52, yeah. Heat is a good option because of that little armor strip. It increases your upfront damage just a little bit. Like, I'm gonna get kicked out of the arsenal right there, and I'll show you what this looks like right here. You'll see that the heat proc makes enemies panic, which is not entirely good for hitting headshots. It's going to be harder to build up that galvanized scope when you're doing that. However, when you do have a little bit of those stacks, you are going to start doing some fuck amounts of damage. As you can see right here, yeah, your heat procs and your bleed procs are going to be doing a ton of damage. And it's very funny to see a weapon go from yellow crits to orange crits to red super crits. The range of this gun is very funny, depending on if you're hitting heads or not. For the sake of this video, we are going to change this back to critical delay because it is a little bit more powerful with those extra tiers of crits. But I am going to use a Ember build. This Ember build is not finished, but it definitely gives you a ton of heat damage. So we are just going to simulate these guys once again. And so this is with Ember with a ton of heat damage. We are essentially getting the best of both worlds when it comes to the heat damage build plus the extra critical capacity. And you can see right now, like, we are just absolutely mowing through these guys. They're not a problem whatsoever with just a tiny little Warframe mod. This is really just heat damage. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. As much as I love Ember, and especially this fucking skin, it gets so much better than this. I'm gonna put on Hydroid. Where's Hydroid? A lot of people might not consider him a weapons platform, but trust me, he is. Especially with those forced corrosive procs. Actually, his corrosive procs are not forced, but he does quite a bit of corrosive damage. I'm going to run in and use Plunder. This is going to apply corrosive damage to my weapon, and you'll see very quickly when you couple corrosive damage plus viral plus your hunter munitions, you start doing really fucking stupid damage. Stupid damage to the point that it's only really going to take a couple of bullets to kill these enemies. The best part is that we're not done yet. If you couple Nourish into this, you get the guaranteed viral procs, and you can do some really stupid stuff. And then I'll show you another build that gets even funnier as well. So we have guaranteed viral procs as well as very common corrosive procs. But if we come over to our AX-52 over here, and we search up a funny little combination called Blast, we are going to put that in there. So now we're doing 100% blast damage, which is pretty silly, but we're going to use our Plunder, really quickly run back. Oh, I didn't get enough. We're going to use our Plunder and then our Nourish. And then, once we get our stacks up, you can start seeing that we are going to start doing some really funny damage once again. Our blast procs aren't doing a ton of damage, but it is definitely enough to help with the single target damage. I wouldn't entirely recommend this build, but it is very fun if you do want a little bit of AoE power when it comes to your AX-52. I am going to show you the next best thing, which is Lavos. Actually, Lavos is incredibly good because he forces these procs to happen. So if we force corrosive via Valence Fusion, it is kind of crazy. It's just damage that doesn't fit a simple rifle like this, but being able to do this, even with body shots or even not even aiming, that is a lot of damage to hit 100k per shot while you're just hitting body shots. It is crazy. The last Warframe I'm going to show you is Mirage, because she is a lovely damage booster. This is an 862% Eclipse, which is pretty cool. And it's Mirage. I don't really know what you expected, but it's going to be fucking crazy either way. Mirage just loves to do this. So definitely very, very good with any Warframe that can buff. If you have a Warframe that can force an element onto this thing, especially if it is corrosive or heat, you're going to go far. I will show you Rhino as well, because a lot of people like to use Rhino, and this is technically a bleed build, so he will be double dipping. So I'm just going to use that roar. It's 147% roar that we're getting. And you'll see it's not as heavy hitter as Mirage, but the bleed procs that we're going to do are going to be pretty crazy. 100k bleed procs are going to hurt. quite a bit, especially for hitting that headshot over there. So 100k bleed procs are definitely very scary against these. However, in the pipeline of fuck shit damage, I'd say Hydroid is probably the best. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I had to put a little cut in here because I messed up the outro. So I have filmed this like a million times and it's unscripted, so I absolutely do not want to do any more. My voice is getting very tired, as you might be able to hear. I was screaming a lot during TennoCon. You guys have an awesome time. I hope you liked the video. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the AX-52 and if you're excited for some more weapons to come.